All right, we are back. Yeah, we are back. And thank you for coming back in. We're gonna wait a little minute, you know what I'm saying? Because I've been wanting to have this conversation for a little while now. And I like to be ahead of the curve somewhat, but I also like to talk about my thoughts like in real time so I don't get confused with anybody that's just like jumping on a bandwagon or anything like that. So with that said, I'm gonna give y'all some time to get back. Great conversation talking about the Don Tripp and Starlito album, Step Brothers for Life. But now we gotta talk for real, man. We gotta talk for real. We got we got a legend. We got a legend that respectfully I want to retire, man. I think it's time. I think it's time to hang it right on up. And respectfully, of course, always respectfully. I don't want to get it confused. Matter of fact, I'm gonna be telling you what these are. I'm gonna be telling you what these are. And I flashed them across because I don't want to jump the gun here. I don't want anybody to get again, don't get me confused, man. Don't get me misconstrued. I know a lot of streamers, a lot of people that talk about rap content, hip hop content, music conversation, entertainment news. I know a lot of people, especially people that look like me, they come on these platforms and they come on here with intent to bash and hate and to tear down some of our legends, our pillars, our cornerstones, our goats, if you will. I don't even like using the term goats. We're going to use it today. And I don't want this to be that. Okay. I don't want this to be that at all because I'm not really happy that I feel that I want to do this. I'm not even happy that I want to do this. I'm not happy about doing it. This is not cool. Like this is not cool to me. But I think it's a chance for really great dialogue. I think it's a chance for really great conversation. And I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna give some people time to get in here though, because some of the homies they wanted to be clear on who I was talking to, or who I was talking about, or who I would be talking about. And I want to give them a chance to at least hear me out. You know what I'm saying? Like, hear what I'm doing, see what I'm doing, realize that I'm right back at you. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna have a real but unfortunate conversation. But in the meantime, made in the 1980s. That is what we do here. As far as the podcast is concerned, I'm not I gotta I'm sorry. I got an episode up. Talk soon. Talk soon is the latest episode. May has really gotten out of control, but we still got some content to y'all. The birthday episode was also super dope, man. I hope you tune into it. There's 61 episodes, and there will be a 62nd, third, and fourth, and fifth, and all of that. It will be. And I hope you stick around to, watch those, listen to those, whatever you do. It's available anywhere you would listen to podcasts, audio or video. Friday mornings is when the audio drops. Saturday morning is when the video drops for Made in the 1980s, the podcast. So make sure you check that out. But man, this time, as I see people coming in, we're going to talk I want to make sure my man Doe is in here because he already know where I'm going with this. And I was hoping to get him in the mix here, but it's okay. Well, we can talk about it at a later time. Trust me when I tell you it's okay. But there's a rapper that I totally love, I totally respect, but I think it's time for them to hang it up. I I've been patient with this topic. I've been um I've been doing the best I can with containing my this take. I've been doing a good job at containing this take, but I think the time is up. The time is up after some of the things that I've just recently heard. And yeah, man, we just need to have a real conversation. So without further ado, man, let's get into it. Okay. Before I really get into the trenches of this, before we really get into the detail of this, I want to say that I love Busta Rhymes. I do. I love Busta Rhymes. I am a Busta Rhymes fan. Okay. I'm a Busta Rhymes fan. This right here is the better part of his discography in my hand right here. I love Busta Rhymes. Now, granted, I ain't gonna front. You won't see no Leaders of the New School albums in here. But you know what this is, though, right? This is The Coming by Busta Rhymes, his first debut solo album. Ooh, Jesus! I don't want to drop my CDs. This is when disaster strikes. This is when he becomes a legit superstar on the next tier. Okay, Scenario from the Low End Theory Tribe Called Quest album. I should have wore that T-shirt. I got that here, but when disaster strikes, okay. So Scenario, he became a star, and then Flavor in Your Ear remix. He kicked off the feature run. Matter of fact, between Scenario to Flavor in Your Ear, that kicks off what we now know as the feature run, when people are just going through, artists are coming up, bodying tracks left and right. Busta Rhymes started that to me. Okay, I believe Busta Rhymes started the I'm about to hop on this and I'm about to kill everybody type of deal. I think he started that. Third album, Extinction Level Event. Okay, I got it in my hot little hands here. Extinction Level Event, third album. Probably his best work to date, and we can talk about it. Anarchy. I remember people fronting on me for having this album, saying that Busta Rhymes didn't have it no more. Album number 4. Okay. Genesis, album number 5. I want to be crystal clear. I'm a Busta Rhymes fan. Okay. It ain't safe no more. Okay. I want to be clear on some things. Big Bang Theory. Hey, and keep it real, I didn't love this album, but I got it. It's still in my collection. And back on my BS, I like this less than the Big Bang Theory, but it's still in my collection. I want to be crystal clear, though. I love Busta Rhymes. I'm a Busta Rhymes fan, right? Let's not get that confused. I totally understand this place in hip hop. I totally understand. I get the style. I get the originality. You know what I'm saying? And I respect him as being one of the original bars of how to be a live performer in specifically the genre of rap music. You know, there was a time where probably Run DMC and KRS-One were considered the greatest performers of rap music. Like nobody performed better than those guys, right? But then here comes Busta Rhymes. And I want to say Busta Rhymes, for the good part of 20 years, became the bar on how to perform your rap records. And he came up in the time of good rap performers. DMX is a phenomenal performer. People may hate and may not like him that much, but Ja Rule is a great performer. 50 Cent, although very basic, is a really good rap performer. And there are others out there. Ice Cube, I think, is also a good rap performer. We're going to stick to his era first. Biggie was a good performer. Pac, obviously, great performer. And even in the midst of all of those people, Busta Rhymes still became the bar of how to perform your set as a rapper, right? And with that said, I think Busta should retire. Yeah, Busta Rhymes should retire. Because now we're in the era where his greatest contributions are becoming too far from the reality that is today. You know, hip hop is so fickle, right? Because in a lot of ways, the shorter your career, the better. Because the smaller the sample size, the better the critique in a lot of ways. You know, we have the why is Biggie the GOAT? Oh, well, look what he did when he was alive. Oh, he only dropped 2 albums. Well, technically 3. What about Born Again and Biggie duets? You know he wouldn't lie for that. Those are some of the same verses. Like, we have those conversations. But Big is always considered one of the greatest because his catalog, although short, puts him in that conversation. People say Pac is the greatest because of volume. But even when we're talking about volume, we're only talking about Me Against the World to Machiavelli. It's almost like Strictly for My Niggas and Tupacalypse Now never happened. And that's not right because it's some heat on both of those albums. But obviously sample size, 5 albums. So people, you know what I'm saying? I'm reading the comments too early. Hey, but sample size matters. And Busta Rhymes needs to retire because since what 2010 for sure, man, he's had some misses. Busta the Zest Monster was jabbing back in the days is crazy. Oh man. Yeah, man. Hey, and that's what we here to talk about, bro. Listen, it's time for Busta Rhymes to retire. I want to iterate. He should retire, but I'm thinking of this more as like legacy protection because what he doing, it ain't it, bro. It's just not it. We need to stop this if we truly love Busta Rhymes as an artist. Yeah, hey, yes. Yes, we're in a new era where his legacy could end up in shambles if he's not careful. We need to stop this because listen, we're coming up on Scenario is almost 40 years ago at this point. Scenario is almost 40 years ago. Flavor in Your Ear remix is 31 years ago. So there are new humans that exist on this earth that probably ain't even went back that far to see that. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be clear on something. I want to be clear on something. Because don't get me wrong. This is not about rappers over 40 or near 50 that's rapping. This is not me trying to not be the old head or try to get rid of the old heads. This is not that. Because if we really went album for album by just age demo, some of the best projects of this decade, and I mean 2020 to 2025, some of the best projects of this decade have come from rappers over 40, and it's undeniable. Absolutely undeniable. Shoot, hey, Busta Rhymes actually kicked off this decade with a good album, Extinction Level Event 2. And we're gonna talk about that. But first, this is definitely not about rappers being over 40 and still rapping. Because hey, look, Nas, who is my favorite and greatest rapper of all time, I still don't think there's anybody greater than Nas. And what better time for me to say that? Because 4 of the last 6 albums that he's dropped was incredible. I wasn't really the biggest fan of, I think is Magic 2, I think it is, or maybe King's Disease 3. I don't know. Two of those, or maybe Magic 2 and 3, to be honest with you. The first Magic was super fire though. But Nas has dropped for sure 4 out of 6 incredible albums in what should be the twilight of his career. But yet people were like, yo, is Nas the best rapper alive again? That was the conversation. When we talk about Nas, yeah, people still celebrate Illmatic and his earlier work. And now, people have come to the light and said, oh, yo, It Was Written is actually a really dope album now that we listen to it again. But, Life is Good is quality. I think real ones that really know Nas's catalog got Life is Good a little higher on that on his all-time discography list. And then you got the King's Disease series, you got the Magic series, and those happened between when he was like 45 to 50 when all those came out. Nas is still rapping at an elite level with a lot to say. And it sounds great. Jay-Z may have not dropped this decade. He may not have dropped an album this decade, but he's still a sought-after feature. And he delivers every time. Now, do the raps maybe sound too rich? Are they kind of like over our heads or whatever people be trying to say? Or maybe are they just not as groundbreaking and impactful as people make them out to be? You could possibly say that. I'm not mad at that take. But a whole feature is still not being turned down, and it never feels mailed in. I don't even like Khaled, but Khaled got me to listen because he had the J verses. Like, you got the fire J verse this year? Not Meek. Oh, I guess I gotta listen to your shit. That's how I feel. I don't like DJ Khaled. Sorry. Eminem. Now Eminem gets a lot of flack. He gets a lot of flack this era, this decade. Like, he's been getting flack since what? Revival. So that was 2017. Eminem is getting flack for rapping well. I know it's rappity rap for y'all. And it's too much of this, too much of that. It's just bar, 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 bar. And I'm not even on the front. I get it. But listen here. Music to Be Murdered By is a rapping masterclass. That album is a rapping masterclass by Eminem. And The Death of Slim Shady is definitely not as bad as people want it to be. Did I expect more? Yes. I think if you visit an earlier live, especially on my YouTube channel, I had a way more elaborate layout of that album. And even though it was some of that, it wasn't everything I wanted it to be. But Eminem's rapping ability has not waned. Matter of fact, if you literally listen to the live I did on the Marshall Mathers LP, because it turned 25 this month, Eminem raps better now than he did in 2000. Like, he's a much better rapper. Like, the skill of rapping, the technical skill and ability of rapping, he is eons above himself. And even back then, 25 years ago, he was a very dangerous MC. So this ain't about being too old, right? Snoop. Have y'all heard Snoop's Missionary? Because that's fire. That's one of the best albums of last year. It should be playing over into this year. LL Cool J, who's older than everybody. He's in his 50s. LL dropped a dope album last year. Killer Mike, the Michael album. He's in his 40s. He just won his first Grammys, 3 Grammys, matter of fact. Killer Mike did that in his 40s. He's one of the better rappers still to this day. So it's not about age. And all of these gentlemen that I'm naming, along with, like, of course, one of my favorites, Phonte from Little Brother. Every day they're proving that, or every month, not every day, but every month, it's more than possible for greatness to be achieved at his age. But unfortunately, we're not getting greatness from Busta Rhymes, and that's why he should stop. Like, that's why he should retire, because we're not getting great. His peers are out rapping him. And now, if we can just take a trip back to the 90s. If we could take a trip back to the 90s real quick. I'm not saying that Busta Rhymes was definitely heralded as being on the same level as Redman, Method Man, Ghostface, Raekwon, Jay-Z, DMX, Nas, Ja Rule. I'm not saying that he was definitely on everybody's radar as being, like, just lyrically as savvy as those guys, or even with Snoop, you know what I'm saying, and Eminem. I'm not saying that, but the race was a lot closer, and styles make fights, right? Because there was always this caveat that, well, Busta Rhymes' style is so magnetic, his style is so crazy, and he can rap, so, you know, it gives him more charisma, Slider. It gives him more just creativity and relatability. You know, he was so different. He was such an anomaly in his heyday that, you know, and plus we had the Missing Aliens, we had Old Dirty Bastard, we had other people that were very animated in their approach. Ludacris, even though he's later, he's like the 2000s, but still, even that time, we're going mid 90s to early 2000s. You know, Busta Rhymes was a one of one, and he was tearing stuff up. He was amazing. He was incredible. He was unique. He was a force, and we're not getting that force right now. Let's go to these comments real quick. My man Philip Banks. Rapping ain't like a job as long as you can write and ride at a hard beat. You should be able to keep up with the time. Plus, things come back around, like bars feel like bars coming back around. Yes. Another rapper, well in his 40s, that raps really well. And he gets killed for not even changing the subject matter. Pusha T. Pusha T is still putting out incredible or just noteworthy music. Royce the 5'9" is putting out notable and dope music when he wants to. It's been a while, but he's put out great music and well in his 40s. And but we're not getting greatness from Busta Rhymes. And if we're not going to get great, then he needs to sit down. He needs to sit down, dude. Extinction Level Event 2. ELE 2. Let's talk about that album, right? Because I listened to that album. I did not buy a hard copy of it. But I will say the hype made me want to get a hard copy of this album. Because for me, Extinction Level Event is my favorite Busta Rhymes album. I want to be clear on that. Extinction Level Event. The artwork alone is like, yo, what are we about to hear? He made this album when he thought the world was going to end. And he's rapping like it. He's rapping like the world is going to end. So here you go. Like this, yo. Again, I'm a real fan. I'm a real fan of Busta Rhymes. I'm not here to tell you something just to be talking. I don't talk because I got lips. You dig what I'm saying? Like I really mess with dude. I really mess with dude. Hey, look, let me tell you how much I mess with dude. You know what album this is? I mess with Busta Rhymes so much. You know what album this is? This is Rampage the Last Boy Scout. Scouts Honored by Way of Blood. And I got the Wild for the Night single over there. I didn't grab it for this because I got the album too. I bought the album too. This is how much I mess with Busta Rhymes. Dirty Harriet by Rod Digger. This is how much I mess with Busta Rhymes. And this album is fire too. Hey, listen, don't get me confused. This album is dope. This album is dope. This left something to be desired, but it's a couple on there. This is the Flip Mode Squad album. This is how much I mess with Busta Rhymes. I want to be so crystal clear on this. Who on this cover? Who on this cover? That's Busta Rhymes in the middle. He's surrounded by LL Cool J, Nori, Prodigy, and Havoc. Bro, I saw this cover and was like, ain't no way I can't buy this. Ain't no way I can't buy this. So, man, listen. I'm coming from that place, okay? I've been buying his music since the 90s. I've been buying stuff that he's just affiliated with and just on, just because it's Busta Rhymes. And that's why I want this to stop immediately. Let's get back to Extinction Level Event 2 real quick. Because I will say ELE 2 was dope. But the buildup for that was crazy work. The buildup for ELE 2 was crazy work. Because the rumblings were that this is the greatest album of all time. Like, and they were like, yo, this album is the greatest in the world. This is by far Busta Rhymes' best body of work. And he had been crafting it for so long. Like, it was like 2 or 3 years, I think. And it drops during the pandemic. And I think I'm being fair when I say, man, we didn't get near that. We didn't get near that at all. We didn't get near the best body of work from Busta Rhymes with Extinction Level Event 2. That album went better than When Disaster Strikes. That album went better than It Ain't Safe No More. I'd argue that album ain't better than Genesis, let alone Extinction Level Event. You know, The Coming is actually a good album. Look, hey, Busta Rhymes' discography is not as bad as we make it out to be, or maybe we just don't celebrate it enough. The first 4 or 5 albums, and I know people don't really like Anarchy. I remember I got killed for having Anarchy. There wasn't no heat on there. But in relation, I don't think The Big Bang is better than Anarchy. I don't think Back on My BS is better than Anarchy. You know, Anarchy was one of those albums where it's like, well, you know, the 3 in a row, the 3 before it are so great that it was just bound to just like fall off somewhere. But the more he's dropping albums, the more that's raising to the top 8. Because, bro, you're not even putting out mid. And that's discouraging. Extinction Level Event 2 was 22 tracks, 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 47 seconds. And don't get me wrong, get some heat on there. But song for song, he could have kept about 30 minutes of that. We could have did without 30 minutes of that album. And there's a deluxe version that's even longer. I think the deluxe version is like 30 tracks and it's like 2 hours long. It's like, family, come on, dog. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why do you think we need 2 hours of music? 1, right? But then 2, where you're promoting it as your greatest body of work. People call it the greatest album of all time, and we don't even get a solid 30 days of just chatter about it. And I don't think that's by mistake, because even though we live in this microwave era, we live in the DSP era, and music is at your fingertips and it goes fast. Some albums stick around. We can't deny that. We can't deny that a lot of albums stick around, and we can't just blame everything on marketing. We just can't. Drake albums are sticking around because a lot of the Drake albums are really good. I don't care if you don't like the singing records or all the rapping records, because I don't like a lot of them either. But View stuck around because it's bangers on there, though. And he really rapping on some spots in there. You know, Kendrick, again, I'm not the biggest Kendrick fan. I'm not. But it was some heat on Damn. And that's why it stuck around. J. Cole, Forest Hills Drive, like it stuck around because it's some heat on there. I don't care about it being platinum with no features. There's actually some heat on there. Again, Nas King's Disease. Again, even if you get 2 months, if you get 60 days, 30 to 60 days of the music world's undivided attention, you won. You won. And we were all sitting down for the pandemic. We in the house. New stars were created during the pandemic. Versus was created during the pandemic. So all we're doing is living on old music. And he put out new music. And unfortunately, it just didn't hit like that. So he should retire. We need to stop this. This is legacy protection mode. Again, I love Busta Rhymes, but it's time to just hang it up, bro. Hey, listen, I'm only talking about him retiring as an active MC. Just retiring as a rapper. That's all. He can still be active in the community that is hip hop. Shoot, I absolutely love the fact that Busta Rhymes is looked at as the OG that embraces the youth, and he's with the new generation. You know what I'm saying? But man, that song with Coily Ray sounded creepy than the mug, man. I don't want to hear Busta Rhymes rapping about how he want to fuck with women that are young enough to be his daughter. It was just gross, bro. I don't want to hear that. I don't like that Busta Rhymes adopted coke rap in the late 2010s. I don't remember that being in his bag when he was 24, 20 whatever. And that's not to say that he wasn't doing, aggressive music or street music, but don't tell me about the Pac Shoe Puss now, man. Just spare me. Spare me that. I don't want to hear that. Talk about beating people up, talk about being the absolute best, do whatever. Go with what brought you to the dance, or at least have a greater way of conveying the new messages. See, that is the thing about rap. Because even as us, the consumers, the fans, the supporters, as we grow up in rap music, right? We also are tasked with growing up and still trying to love rap music and still trying to love hip hop. And unfortunately, rap music is the only genre where they want you to stay young and dumb forever. You know, a lot of the conversation in mainstream rap, especially, it's never anything that's progressive to the diaspora. You know, the entire black delegation is not meant to grow with rap music. We're supposed to leave it behind. And that's why we have some of the problems that we have in it. And sometimes when I listen to Busta Rhymes on some of these features and some of these songs that he's putting together, it just sounds like he's the uncle at the party, but he's the oldest person at the party because the party is not with your pops. The party's not even with his other brothers. He's at your party and you just graduated college. Nephew, I see what you got over there. There's something for me in there. Whoa, hold on now. Hold on, man. She just turned 23. You're 50 plus. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Oh man, hey, look, she old enough, ain't she? No, we don't play that game. We don't do that. You need to go to the OG party and let the young folks be the young folks right now. And we'll talk to you later. And we're not getting that from Busta Rhymes. And he's surrounded by, good talent. Hey, look, Busta Rhymes knows talent. Let me throw out some names for y'all to really help you understand why he's important. I've already talked about, Rod Digger, and Rampage, the last Boy Scout. I mean, again, hey, look, Busta Rhymes got his cousin, Rampage, on one of the biggest hip hop remixes of all time. That's how nice he was. Like, yo, look out for my cuz. And his cuz represented. I still say Rampage, a verse on Flavor in Year remix is better than LL Cool J's. So he don't even have the worst verse on that song. And that's how you represent. That's how you represent your family, and that's how your family represent you when they get an opportunity. But be clear, Rock Marciano, first time I ever heard him, he was a member of Flip Mode. Now, Rock Marciano has gone on to be one of the pillars of underground rap for the last 15 years or so. But I'll never forget the fact that the first time I heard Rock Marciano was on this album. It was on this album, and he's on The Heist with Ghostface and Raekwon. And he's doing this thing on here. He didn't make this album. But he's on this one. Shout out to Baby Sham. A name I had written down here, Lord Have Mercy. Lord Have Mercy. You remember the first time you heard him? It was on the Busta Rhymes album. And it was this Busta Rhymes album. 1997. You dig? I want to be clear. He knows talent. Rock Marciano, Lord Have Mercy. Rod Digger. Hey, OT Genesis. OT Genesis was signed. If he's not still currently signed, he was signed to Conglomerate, Busta Rhymes label. He know talent. He know guys with the hits. There's a brother that I saw on Shade 45 show with Busta Rhymes, and he was rapping his ass off one day. I couldn't wait to hear more from him. His name was Aaron Cooks. Flash forward a few years, Aaron Cooks is Stove God Cooks. The dude that's bodying everything on Griselda and West Side Gun album specifically. So I want to be crystal clear. Busta Rhymes knows talent. He knows talent because Stove God is nice. I don't want him to be inactive in hip hop. I want him to stop putting out projects if this is what we're getting. But Busta Rhymes is extremely valuable. He's extremely valuable in hip hop. But maybe not in the recording space anymore. And that may hurt. And I heard the speech, but I need him to do more with his power, with his voice. I want a different message from Busta Rhymes because we're far removed from a lot of these albums I've been showing y'all. Some of those albums are 30 years old now, or they will be very soon. All of them are over 20, 25 years old for the most, yeah, 20 or 25 years now because it's 2025. And we're in the spot now where Busta Rhymes is just like the elder statesman on the young boys tracks or the young girls tracks, and he's so much more than that. He's so much more than that. You know, I want Bust to be active. I want him to be an active member of hip hop. I want him to be protected and respected as the royal figure that he is in hip hop. But maybe the music needs to be put on hold. Am I off on this? Am I tripping? I don't feel I am, but I'm open to critique. I'm open to being wrong here. I want to be clear on that. I'm open to being wrong, but this and it's more than just this decade. I want to say going back to maybe 2015 or 16. That joint with him and Eminem. It just wasn't it. The Calm Down joint. It just wasn't it, bro. And even with that though, right? There are certain things that exist within hip hop that they kind of go unspoken, but at the same time, you don't want to be too disrespectful in the matter in which you approach them. And when I say that, again, I remember being in junior high school, loving Busta Rhymes, and a lot of people did not feel the same way. You know, I definitely recall a time where it was like, yeah, he performing these records. Man, him and Split Star killing this as a performance, but I never had the argument that Busta Rhymes was the best rapper out right now. And I wasn't ever approached with, oh, man, you think Nas is the greatest? No, man. Hey, Busta Rhymes is way more fire than him. We way nicer than Nas. Like nobody's ever said that to me. And what do you do when you're known for performance? You got some really big records. Energy is there. Respect from your peers is there. I want to be clear on that. But the consumer is not fed properly. Because then the hits stop coming. But here's the thing about hit records and rap. The thing about hit records and rap music are they can just be cultural hits and it's a win. And maybe that's what New York-ish is, even though it's like a specific like New York anthem. Because look, they even remixed it. They got Nims, Joey Badass on it, Papoose on it for the Knicks. I hope they don't get them boys blown out doing all that. But I just think about just those days, those years when flat out, just Busta Rhymes was just nobody's necessarily favorite rapper. And now here we are, fast forward. Now he's the elder statesman with all the young people. I would love for him to take an approach like King's Disease. I would love for him to take an approach like 444. I would love to hear him on on a little brother, may the Lord watch type of vibe. There's got to be more to life than what he's given us from a content perspective. Busta Rhymes has lived a very great life just from the optics of the highlight reel that we know that exists. And that's why I want to really like just hone in. I want to hone in on the fact that, man, he has an amazing story to tell, I'm sure. And I want to hear it. Busta Rhymes is in his 50s. The people around him and the people that he came up in the game with, I hope they're talking to him about this, because again, you can only do a feature in the track Trump for so long. You can only try to make the club record for so long. One of the most disappointing things about the ELE2 is that I felt him really trying to recreate the moments that were on the first ELE. And that's what makes it painful. That's what makes it cringy. It's just like, why did we do this? Don't do this record. We don't need the new version of this. Just remaster the original joints if we're going to do that. So just being, unfortunately, unimpressed by a lot of Busta Rhymes' work, because I've been checking out these EPs. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't tripping. I didn't want to just say something just to be saying it. But that Dragon Season EP, one, I get what he doing. He trying to show the new people love, trying to get the conglomerate, which is his label, trying to get it off the ground and trying to put some things in place for it. And I get it. But some of those joints are just not it. They just not it on there. Or he's just being just out rapped. And that's terrible. Like, that's a terrible feeling. That joint Tings. Nah. You know what I'm saying? The Blockbuster joint. That's like another EP. But I know it had that joint. But it had the joint with B on there, the Beach Ball joint. Yuck. The joint with Coily Ray. No. It's just too much of trying to be with the young people in the new generation. I think there's better ways to mentor. There's better ways to elevate, raise, and contribute to the success of the new young people. Everybody don't need a verse from you, dog. And if you feel that the best way that you can help them is with a verse, then I don't think you have a good grasp of what the game is right now. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Jones is in here now. Okay, I'm a little late, but ELE2 is dope. And guess who smoked his boots? Hey, listen, I know how you feel about Kendrick Lamar. And this is one times where we're not even going to have a back and forth, because you're right. You're right. Listen, because you are late, I'm basically on here talking about how Busta Rhymes has been out-rapped several times. Several times this decade. And how, although Extinction Level Event 2 was dope, they were heralding that as like the greatest album of all time. And it was his best body of work. And it was neither. Neither of those statements are true. Dude, hey, Rakim out-rapped him on the intro. And I love the intro. The one thing I will give this album is this. I do believe the ELE2 intro is the best Busta Rhymes intro ever. I love Chris Rock on it. I love the beat selection and the switch to the World Is Yours, Pete Rock. You know what I'm saying? That switch, and then Rakim. But that first beat on there is crazy. Hey, look, my favorite joint on there is with Louis Farrakhan talking at the beginning. That inspires me. Like the Wrath of God, that song itself. Man, I didn't know if I wanted to try to assassinate somebody or what. Like, yo, we gotta protect the minister. I don't eat pork anymore. You dig what I'm saying? So listen, I am I just think it's time for him to retire because again, like now it's 2025 and that album was 5 years ago. So let's say, let's just go to his discography real quick, right? Let's go to the Busta Rhymes discography because there's a lot of time that has elapsed here. But depending on how old you are, where would your introduction of Busta Rhymes be? So, because if you were born in 2000, let's say you were born in 2000, real simple. There's a good chance if you were born in 2000, the first album you heard from Busta Rhymes is Back on My BS. You were 8 years old. And that's a bad start. That's a really bad start. If you are just a new human, for you to come in and your first memories like third, fourth, fifth grade is Busta Rhymes Back on My BS. That means hands down the greatest album you've heard from him. If you only listen forward, if you don't listen backward, if you only listen forward, that means ELE2 is the best album that you've heard. You don't think too highly of the Calm Down EP. You don't think too highly of Blockbuster, Dragon Season, The Awakening. Like you don't come on, fam. Like no ELE2. And then you might have gone back to listen to Extinction Level Event, the very first one, but does it hit the same for you? Because that was made in 98. Does it hit the same for you? You know what I'm saying? In 2025, Buster could coast off features touring in his cal. No, Jones, he's not though. He's not. That's the problem. He's not coasting off these features. He's getting killed on these features. He's getting killed out here. When's the last time that he's had the best verse on something? Some of y'all going all the way back to Look At Me Now, and that was 2010. That's where some of y'all minds went. Look At Me Now. That was 15 years ago. And not trying to be a hater, but outside the flow, how great is that verse? I just want to throw that question out there. How great is that verse in hindsight? Because it's more of a cadence and flow exercise than it is bars. And look, you can have bars or flow, and when you can combine both of them, then you get a great marriage of greatness. Legendary, epic proportions, but that verse is all flow with no real bars, bro. Just saying. The way I feel about Busta is the way people try to talk about Ludacris. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. The way I feel about Busta is the way people try to talk about Ludacris. Now, I'm not sure I know what I'm not sure I know what you mean by that. Because hey, look, Ludacris was on, I think it's Conway Slant Face Killer, and he bodied that feature. Conway the Machine and Ludacris have a joint together, and Luda did his thing on that. I gotta look up what it is right now. Hold on. Because that's important. I don't think Ludacris is bad at all. I think as far as what is aging now, I will say this. I think that Ludacris is not probably doing the greatest at preserving his rap legacy. I don't think I don't think that he's doing everything needed to let people know, hey, look, I still get busy. I don't think he is. But at the same time, I think Ludacris is still. I think he's as dope as he wants to be. I'll put it like that. Um, but then again, Ludacris is also a member of the $1 billion Fast franchise. So, you know, Chris Bridges, the actor, has a whole different life that Ludacris doesn't have to live up to. I also believe in that. You know what I'm saying? They try to put, hold up here. They try to put Luda out to pasture like he can't rhyme anymore. Okay. So yes. Yeah, and nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing could be further from the truth. Ludacris definitely still gets busy. I wish I could find this joint real quick. Because it's Conway. Yes. Matter of fact, hold up, it's a Shameful Game. Shameful Game Part 2. 1 second. But there's a joint. It just came on my shuffle like literally like the other day. It's Conway the Machine and Luda. And Luda on there going crazy. And I'm okay with a serviceable verse. You know what I'm saying? But Busta Rhymes ain't even giving us that, unfortunately. He's relying on a lot of the things that made him a household name, and he's just kind of remixing them and reinterpolating himself. So nothing really feels new. Nothing feels new. Nothing feels organic. Nothing feels like, 2025. You know what I'm saying? Not preserving his rap legacy. That's a fact. Master P is the epitome of that. Yes. Where Ludacris is not preserving his rap legacy, I don't think. I think Busta Rhymes is slowly damaging it because now we're. And Jones, you can speak to this because we're about the same age. I'm not saying that anybody has ever argued with me that Busta Rhymes is the greatest rapper out or he's the best rapper alive. I've never had that conversation about Busta Rhymes, nor have I tried to take that stance with anybody. But now we're in a space where if you were to say, man, I think Busta Rhymes is one of the best rappers to ever do it, I think people would look at you crazy now. Like that, there was a point in time just off of just having the hit records alone. Because you could say, like, at one point, especially in the 2000s, by the time we got to 01, 02, 03, like Busta Rhymes had bigger records than Jay-Z. He had bigger records than Nas. He had bigger records than Snoop. You know, he had or he was actively competing with those guys, even if he wasn't considered the best rapper. And then you can always make the argument like, he one of the best. Say what you want, but he one of the best. And he performs great. But now we're in a whole different era where I don't think people would laugh and be like, man, you trying to play. You know what I'm saying? I think you would get more of that now than you would have back then. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Here's a fact for y'all that may be just tuning in. The 01 to 03 Busta was a contender for biggest hit maker. You know? And that's what's disappointing about Extinction Level Event too. Because with what you're saying, right? Because I agree with that. But when you do that, why are you giving us another joint with you and Mariah? Why are you trying to give us that again? Like, why? Help me understand the logic in us needing another one. And on top of that, you kick it off and say, we're going to do it to him again, Mariah. It's like, come on, fam. No, you're not. You're not going to do anything to us again. You're not. Little do you know that the same stations that would pick this record up are still playing the old joint. They're playing the old one. We don't need the new one, bro. So I am it's just disappointing. And again, hey, look, because we got new listeners, we got new viewers in. Again, I want to be so clear on who I am. I want to be so clear on who I am when we talk about Busta Rhymes. I want to be clear on who I am. This ain't hate. This ain't hate at all. You dig? This is not hate. No way. No way could somebody like me be hating on Busta Rhymes and his contributions to hip hop. There's no possible way. There's no way. I'm the only one that I know in my life that still got a clip of just Busta Rhymes. I even got the albums I don't like. I got the albums I don't like. So I'm coming from a real place when I tell you, like, yo, Busta Rhymes, come on. Like I was giving him a chance. This is how much I gave him a chance. This is how much I gave him a chance. And I believed in him. I believe in him and his family. I believe in him and his family. You dig what I'm saying? So never think that I don't love, respect, and appreciate Busta Rhymes. Don't ever think that. Because that simply just wouldn't be the case. It just wouldn't. And all of these reasons are why I do think it's time to hang it up. Because even if I could find a tangible hard copy of Extinction Level Event 2, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it. It's time to go in legacy protection mode. I'm all for Busta Rhymes going on tour and being the legacy act he is. If he wants to do the Coming Tour, the When Disaster Strikes, the Extinction Level Event, Anarchy, Genesis, It Ain't Safe No More, if he can tour every single album over the next 6 to 8 years. He can even do a Big Bang because it's Touch It is on that album, so he can tour off with just that alone, right? But as far as making new music, man, unless you're gonna go the Nas route, unless you're gonna go the Jay-Z route, or even if you're gonna go the Eminem route, see that's the other thing. He could rap about nothing. He could just rap to be rapping, but the rapping has to be phenomenal. The rapping has to be phenomenal, and that's where people get Eminem messed up. Okay, you don't like the content. You don't know what he's talking about, or he just rapping to be rapping. But you can't deny the skill level of the rapping. There are still not too many humans that can stand in the same studio or the same cipher circle with Eminem and out rap him. And Busta Rhymes can't even say that. He's not. What do you do when you are a legend, when you are royalty in hip hop, and you can't make a hit record, it seems, and you're not the best technical rapper that's out? And you can't compete in that space either, or so it seems. What do you do? Again, I love that he found Rock Marciano, and that's how we heard him. That's the first time I heard him. Again, the Anarchy album. That's when I heard him the first time, Rock Marciano. Lord Have Mercy, When Disaster Strikes, Rod Digger, When Disaster Strikes, Flip Mode album, OT Genesis, first artist signed to Conglomerate. Well, probably the second. Again, Shade 45, Busta Rhymes standing next to a young brother named Aaron Cooks. We now know him as Stove God Cooks. So he knows talent. I believe he is a big piece of the culture that is hip hop. He's a big piece of this fabric. But man, it just may be time to give it up, turn it loose. Shout out to En Vogue and Dawn. That's going to do it for me, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know, am I bugging? Or does Busta Rhymes need to retire? Do we need to go in full legacy protection mode for Busta Rhymes? I'd love to know your input whenever you can give your input. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. I hope to do this again soon. But hey, life is calling, and I got to answer the calls. But until next time, man, please be safe, whatever you do. I hope to see you and talk to you next time. And just know that always and consensually, it's love.